I just want to talk a little bit about why we're doing this. First of all, notice that our theme for this initiative, I'm going to call it, this movement actually, how many of you believe that God is moving a remnant about this country to bring America back one nation to God? How many of you believe tonight? I have many mentors in this room, so I feel a little giddy like a little kid. I'm 44 years of age, but I'm blessed to have a counsel of wisdom around me still. And I'm smart enough to know I need to be listening. And there's one mentor in here I have. His name is Gary Glenn, president of American Family Association, and also one of the greatest labor freedom champions America has ever had. Give Gary Glenn a hand. And Gary and I were talking about emancipation. And we know that in Juneteenth, 1865, the physical chains of chattel removed from the ankles of black Americans was one form of freedom. But I submit to you, we the Frederick Douglass submit to you, that we're still not free today. And today it transcends black Americans and speaks to all Americans. And so we call this a race to economic independence, because we believe that there are factions in this country that are trying to break the free market and make this a socialist nation. We believe there are factions in this country that are trying to strip us of the opportunity for parents to have the dignity to choose where, when, how, and why their children should be educated. Do you believe that today? Yeah. We believe there are factions in our society that want to eliminate free market solutions and open merit shops and opportunities for Americans to compete in labor industries and construction skilled trades. They want to force Americans into unions so they can fund political causes that are contrary to our values and violate our conscience. And as I go into the inner cities, and many of you know me, you know how I feel about preaching to the choir all the time. I believe that we have a fundamental responsibility to take our truth to those who do not possess it and give to them the message of liberty. Just like Jesus told the disciples, they had a responsibility. He said, go ye into the four corners of the earth and preach the gospel, the truth of liberty and freedom. We believe that we have that same responsibility today. So we want to go into the inner cities of Michigan and across the country and talk about free market solutions and the fact that more government is not the answer. Frederick Douglass, when asked, what are we going to do with the Negro? Suddenly, millions of black Americans were free from chattel, and many assumed that we wouldn't be able to make it. So Frederick Douglass responded with the speech he called What the Negro Wants. And in that speech he said, leave us alone, do nothing with us. Because it seemed that every time the government wanted to help us, we seemed to go further on our knees than standing on our feet. And so I would submit to you, when you go into Detroit and you see 47% of the city who are functionally illiterate, I say we're not free today. I would submit to you that when 50% of black teenagers in our country are unemployed, we're not free today. I would submit to you that when 72% of black women have children and no fathers or husbands for their children, we're not free today. I would submit to you when 160,000 to 200,000 Americans do not have jobs because of big labor, we're not free today. I would submit to you that when we have a president of the United States that's trying to force us into socialist policies and healthcare concepts that are going to take more lives than save lives, I would say we're not free today. And so we want to take this initiative into the cities, and we ask you to stand with us. And let's go build and cultivate relationships where people don't really understand because they've been listening to one message for 50 to 60 years. And so we want to challenge those false narratives, the miseducation that's been perpetuated by some of our traditional civil rights organizations. Some of them have lost their way. And it's time that we now challenge the NAACP and say no more. It stops now. It's time that we challenge the Congressional Black Caucus and say no more. You must be true to what you were formed for. It's time we challenge the Urban League. Some of them are still doing great work. But it's time we challenge them and say be true to your bylaws and to what you say you stand for. Finally, the Frederick Douglass Society will be that free market solution organization in the inner cities in Michigan and across the country, and we will stand for freedom, and we will fight toe-to-toe, not only for Black Americans, but for all Americans in this great race to economic emancipation, ladies and gentlemen.